Hey, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Typewriter video series. This is episode 18, and today I'm going to talk about typing paper. So look at what we have here. I have a whole stack of paper. Let's talk about it. In one of my previous videos, I'd made the illusion that the ink of your typewriter is kind of like light to a camera. Without the ink and without the ribbon, you can't make a mark. You can't make an imprint. You're not going to have a literary image, if you will. Well, to kind of extend that analogy, I would say the paper is like the film, right? That's what records the image. And it might seem obvious to say that the type of paper you're typing on has a lot to do with the quality of the finished result. And we might take that for granted in this day and age when we've kind of transferred to a sort of post-paper technology culture, except paper's still around. We just don't have as much choice in papers as we used to. And the same thing is true with typing paper. So I'd like to take a look this morning at some of the various kinds of paper that personally I've used for typing on and some of the good and bad points about it. Well, here's one of the most common kinds of paper that people might be typing on, which is copy paper. And you can find this stuff at all the major office supply stores in your area. And it comes in a variety of thicknesses and weights and all that. But basically, copy paper is paper designed for xerography, which is how copy machines and laser printers work. It's okay paper. It's usually recycled paper. It's not the high quality paper. And it'll give you a mark, of course. It's inexpensive. I like to use copy paper when I'm just testing out a typewriter and the quality of the imprint doesn't really mean that much to me. So copy paper is a valid kind of paper to use for informal kinds of typing. Now there's another kind of paper that you can find in bulk quantities at office supply stores, and that is printer paper. And really, printer paper is generally considered to be paper for inkjet printing. The thing about inkjet printing, okay, is the paper has a coating on the front surface or on both surfaces that is called a sizing. And it's kind of like thinking about a microscopic layer of like a plaster-like material that basically keeps the surface of the paper from being too absorbent, because the ink droplets have to land on the paper and they don't want to, they can't spread too fast. They can't bleed into the paper. Otherwise, the image that you're printing will be all blurry and messy. So inkjet printer paper has kind of this hard sizing layer on the front surface, and it doesn't take typewriter ink all that well. So I don't really recommend inkjet paper. If you're going to be using cheap, inexpensive paper in bulk, use a copy paper, which is not inkjet paper, it's laser xerography paper. Slightly different kind of surface. In my jovancleave.com blog that I've been maintaining for a number of years, for several years there, I was typecasting on this yellowish green engineering paper. It's blank on one side, but it has border lines, and it has a grid on the other, a 1/4-inch grid. And it took an imprint pretty well, and I like the color, and I like the color of it. Other than being just pure white, that slightly yellowish green background was kind of nice. I really like this paper a lot. I don't use it as much, but what I find I like about it is on the blank side, you have these little fields, these little boxes in the upper part, and I would type the date and the place that I'm typing and what typewriter I'm using, and right there on these three fields, the date, where I'm typing, and the typewriter I'm using. And then it already had borders and already had holes punched for putting it in a notebook later. This is pretty nice typing paper. I kind of like it. It's not super high quality as far as the imprint goes, but it worked pretty well. This is the Ampad brand of engineering paper. I thought it was a good, I like the color of it. It was good for my blog. I haven't used it in a while though, because I've come up with a different kind of paper, which I'll show you here in a second. Now, it might come as some surprise to you to find out that true typing paper hasn't been made in decades. But there is another kind of paper that I've been using off and on that's really nice. Now, this is Staples, and this is their eco-friendly writing pad. And these are legal pads, okay? And they're lined. They have regular lines like writing paper. But this is made from sugarcane pulp. And it has a thinner, crisper feel. It takes fountain pen ink really well, and it takes typewriter ink pretty darn good too. The only problem, of course, is it's lined. And so it would be great if I could find this paper in an unlined form. Well, I went searching for some alternatives to this that were unlined, and I found online what they claimed was sugarcane pulp paper unlined. And it turned out to be a lot more just like copy paper. It wasn't the same thin, crisp feel. It didn't take the ink quite as well, so I kind of wasted my money on that. But basically, this sugarcane pulp paper that comes in these writing pads is pretty darn good paper. And if you can get by writing with the lines, it's pretty nice. I like it. So there is good paper out there still. It's just it's not being necessarily sold as blank paper that you can use in your typewriter. But I'll tell you another alternative that is pretty good paper, and that is art paper. Now, if you think about the kinds of general purpose art media, you know, pen, pencil, colored pencil, crayon, charcoal, all these other kinds of medium, they're very similar to typewriter ink in a sense. It's not like inkjet ink that's liquid and has to dry on the surface, but this is just an inexpensive pad of paper that I probably got at Staples also, and it's art paper for kids. But this kind of paper is really good for typewriter, for typing, I've noticed. And there's a variety of these kinds of papers. They have the full-size 9x12 pads. There's letter writing size, like 5.5 by 8 or whatever. But it's pretty good paper. It's actually nice for letter writing. So this is a good alternative, this art paper that's not too thick. It's not like watercolor paper. It's not real super heavy. It's not raggy. It's just general purpose art paper, drawing paper. It's pretty good. Okay, so the next two kinds of paper I want to show you are what you might call legacy paper. These are actually typing papers from the traditional era of typewriters, probably the 1970s or 80s. Well, the first one I have is this Velvetone brand erasable bond typing paper. And it was sold at a price of $2.69. I don't have a date on this. I don't see a date on it. But it was made by Springfield Tablet Manufacturing Company. This stuff I got at a thrift store. I'm not really crazy about it. And the reason why is because this erasable typing paper, it doesn't really take as dark of an imprint as other types of paper because it was designed to be erasable, right? So the top surface of the paper is a little smoother and harder, and the ink doesn't quite absorb into the paper quite as well. This piece I typed a few years ago at the cigar store with, it looks like my Underwood Universal maybe, with a dirty type slugs. But anyways, it's okay, but it's not quite as dark of an imprint as you'd like. So you might find some of this erasable typing paper, erasable bond paper in the thrift stores. You could, if it's cheap, you could pick it up and try it, but I never really liked it all that much. I don't like the hard feel of the paper. Here's another one. This is Packwell brand, a consumer products division. No date on it, but it's erasable typing paper also. And it says 25% rag. It's a thin paper, kind of crisp. It's not too bad, but I don't like it quite as well as another type of typing paper that I found. And this is the typing paper that is really interesting to me because this is the one that got me on a journey of finding modern day typing paper. And it came in this box without a lid. It had a cover sheet, and it said 50 cents for typing sheets. So I paid 50 cents for this pack. And here's what's so cool about it. It is Mead. It's a red and gray label, Mead typing paper, and there's a date, 1988. And there, of course, is a UPC code number. This typing paper is really nice. It has that thin, crisp feel, smooth. It takes the ink really well. I really love this stuff. And of course, I haven't used too much of it, and it's slightly yellowed, which is kind of neat, a little patina. But I really love the quality of this paper. And what I did is I went online and I took that UPC code number, which was 43100392000, and I went searching for that to see if it was still being made. And I found this. This is 43100391100. So instead of 200, it's 100 on the end. So this is Mead, and it's called Multipurpose paper. And if you find it online, you'll find some of the pictures of this blue labeled paper pad is actually, they're still using the red label, the red artwork. So what it means to me is it's the same paper, essentially, and they rebranded it sometime a few years ago from typing paper to general multi-purpose paper. But you can get this online. It's cheaper to buy it in a pack. These are packs of 100 sheets, but it's cheaper to buy it in a whole bunch of packs, like a dozen at a time. You can find those online. And it usually works out to be about 3.5 cents a sheet when you buy it inexpensively. But this is the only source of true typing paper that I've been able to find that truly is like the old typing paper. It's thin, crisp, takes ink really well. It's great paper. So that's my favorite. That's what I've been typing and typecasting with lately. Now finally, there's another category of typing paper that you might be interested in looking for in thrift stores, and that is going to be letterhead paper. This is blank paper that has a pre-printed letterhead, and just last week I found this at a local thrift shop, and I paid probably too much. They were asking $6, but the reason why I really liked it is because it has this nice printed, finely printed United States Army letterhead logo. And it's a pack of, I haven't counted them, but it's probably 20 or 30 sheets. But finding old letterhead stationery is really cool because, first of all, the kind of paper that it is, you really can't find that quality of paper anymore now, or at least not very easily. You might also notice the difference in color between white typing paper and this more of a cream colored paper, right? So there is a difference in tone. The letterhead printing itself, the logo, is really sharply printed, very professionally printed, and so that raises the possibility of being able to scan that as an image and print it out on your own paper and make your own letterhead or modify the letterhead. Keeping in mind that it's possible that the logo or letterhead might still be copyright owned by someone else. Be careful about that. But it is kind of cool finding old letterhead stationery, and that's kind of a subgenre of the typewriter hobby, is being able to collect stationery, letterhead stationery, and typing paper. I've found that in the local thrift stores in my town, typing paper is not very common, because it seems like most people just look at an old pack of paper and they just throw it away or something, but occasionally you'll find typing paper. I find that the finer antique stores don't have it as much. It's more like the junkier thrift stores are the ones that would have typing paper. Well, that's the show for this week about typing paper and the alternatives we have from using just printer paper and copy paper. There are alternatives out there. I especially, as I said earlier, I especially like this Mead multi-purpose paper, UPC product code 43100391100. Search for that on the internet, buy it in bulk packs. It's a great paper, and so you can still get this good paper. Also art paper, remember drawing paper is pretty good too. Well, this is Joe Van Cleve, and you have yourself a great day.